Okay, today's speech is an informative speech. I chose democratic socialism. Democratic socialism is a democratic approach to applying socialism in America. And they do so through changes in the tax structure and applying social policies. Go to dsa.usa or dsausa.org for more information about that. My first example will be COVID-19. During the COVID pandemic, 11.7 million people were lifted out of poverty, and 45% of those people were children. And that was due to pandemic relief payments. A lot of my examples will come from the New Deal program that was founded under FDR in the 1930s. The 1930s was experiencing the worst economic downturn that our government's ever seen. And the New Deal was to create jobs and fund different projects to help relieve the pain, the financial pain that people are experiencing. Social Security, that was founded under the New Deal. Social Security keeps 27 million people out of poverty, and what that means is that because of the payments that they get from Social Security, that keeps them above the poverty line, the official government poverty line. So without it, they would be in poverty, and most of them, I think, are elderly. Another one was the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. This allowed people to organize and protest peacefully. It allowed them to do it legally, and it gave them protections. There was a time where you couldn't organize and protest, so it's nice that that's a protected thing that we can do now. There's actually a guy I had on the first slide. He was jailed in Woodstock for protesting the railroads, but a lot of things were set on fire too, so I'm not really sure if he deserved it or not. Debatable. The next thing is my favorite, the Federal Writers Project. The Federal Writers Project gave writers who were out of jobs, they gave them work. And what they did was they went around the country and they recorded the slave narratives. The slave narratives was a massive project where they went and they collected the biographies of all these ex-slaves. There were people that were actually born into slavery or experienced slavery in whatever way it was, and born into it. To me, it's like it's hard. I don't know to say it. Just saying it is messed up. But anyways, you can go on the Library of Congress website, loc.gov, and you can still find all there's art on there, there's audio recordings, there's written accounts, photographs, and it's all free. You can go on there and you can browse through all of these different people's stories. And I would say also that a lot of these people's stories was not being recorded by the private sector. So this government program did that, and I'm glad they did. The 1950s is considered to be the most prosperous time in America. It's also called the golden age of American capitalism. As long as you were white, it was a great time to live. You can see here, this looks like a middle class family. They had to me, that looks like a big house and then new clothes, a white picket fence, stereotypes. And they could do this because the middle class was created. The middle class prior to the 1950s and 60s largely did not exist. And this was due to all those social policies in the 1930s. The middle class was created in the late 1940s. And union membership also peaked in the 1950s. So that's interesting. And it was due to that National Labor Relations Act. Here's a picture of a protest from the 1970s. There was a lot of inflation. They called it the inflation era, I believe it was. And it's just because food prices were up. They had an oil embargo, so there was no gasoline. It was rough, and we all know that we need a car to get around. There's not much public transportation around here. So, can't help but wonder, why were the 1930s so rough? The 1950s and 60s were so awesome, and then the 1970s had such a hard time. I'm not saying this is the cause, but this is from the IRS.gov. I think this is really interesting. I'm not saying it's the sole cause of anything. I'm not trying to convince. It sounds like I'm trying to convince. This graph is from IRS.gov. This shows the top marginal tax rate. The top marginal tax rate is the tax rate on the top 0.2% of the population, the top 0.2% of the richest people in our country. The top marginal means that after $1 million in today's money, they would be taxed 90% on every single dollar. That was like rich people taxes in the 1950s and 60s. So it was in the 90 percentages. Today it's about 37%. I personally would like to see more new social policies. It feels like we depend heavily on social policies that were made almost 100 years ago, and we haven't created many new ones. And whenever we do, they seem to just fail or disappear. I would like to see single payer healthcare. That's my main one. If we could just do that, I think it's almost the entire country would be lifted up out of poverty. Bring back the middle class, you know. Thank you for listening to my speech again. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks.